Hello there, welcome to episode 92 of Codebase Alpha. It was a little bit late starting there, and I'll tell you the reason why we're late starting, just about 10 minutes late. I broke the cardinal rule. Okay, so I went over to the Haxe website here, and I noticed there was an upgrade. So we were using 4.05, and there's an upgrade to 4.11. So I thought, oh well, while I'm getting set up, I'll upgrade to that. And when I upgraded, it broke. It broke my platform game. So I was just at 2 minutes to go, and I suddenly discovered it was broken. So I've had to just reverse that upgrade. So that's why there's a bit of a delay there. So let me get some music to soothe my soul a bit. So hello there, to Pudding. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I'm doing okay. I'm a bit panicked at the moment because that was a bit weird. Okay, so I hope the audio is okay. We did have a few problems a couple of streams ago with the audio, and last week's stream, unfortunately, I couldn't do because of work commitments. We had a live issue that suddenly cropped up at about 6 o'clock, and it didn't get resolved till 9, so I had to cancel the stream. So here we are again. So we're going to do some more Haxe programming with Haxe Flixel. We're going to carry on working with the platform game that we've been working on. So let's pop over to the code and see where we are. Okay, so here we are in the code. So last time we got a new enemy going, and that was quite good. And I thought this time we'll continue with our tutorial, and we're going to add a kind of a start screen, a menu screen to the game, somewhere where we can go back to when the game is over, rather than just kind of suddenly exiting, and also where we can have a high score. So obviously we're doing kind of very much an old school style platform game, and having a high score is part of that kind of genre of game from the coin-op days. So let's do that. So in order to have a menu, we're going to create a new state. So we've got play state, which is what's on the screen at the moment, and play state is a state really. A Flixel state is very much like a group, a Flix group. So it's a collection of state objects or variables, and we're going to create one for the menu or the start screen. So let's kind of crack on with that. So not often when you create an Haxe Flixel project, you do actually get a menu state file created automatically. I didn't get one in this case, so I'm going to create one. So we need a new file in the states folder, and we call it menu state. That's HX. Okay, and we're in our package states, which is like our module, and the modules are just defined by the folder structure here. Okay, so what do we want to do first? Well, we're going to have create the class. So this is going to be a class which is going to be called menu state. Let's spell that correctly. Okay, and it's going to extend the Flix state. And I'd like to have my curly braces on separate line like that. Okay, so we're going to need a couple of variables here. We've got a background image, so let's go and have a look at the background image that we have. So that's over here in our assets. Actually, I think I've already moved it across into our development area. That's here, and in the platformer assets, images, we've got this title. Okay, so this is a 320 by 180 pixel PNG file, and we're going to use that as our start. So if we do have a look at it, it's let's zoom in a bit. So it's Super Flix Squirrel, and that's the title of our game. So that's the kind of the background. We're going to use the background image, and we're going to put our menu options and a high score over the top of that. And this is Super Squirrel here. Currently we haven't seen Super Squirrel make an appearance, So currently it's kind of normal squirrel, but at some point in the next couple of streams we're going to have the ability to pick up a power up and turn into super squirrel, and then there's going to be mega squirrel. One of them's going to be spitting fireballs and things like that to kill off enemies that currently can't be killed by bouncing on them. So that's the kind of idea. Okay, so that title image is now in there. So let's create a variable. So we're going to private. It's going to be something called background. And it's going to be of type Flix image. Sprite, sorry, FX Sprite. Okay, so we've got that. Right, so we need a create method. So this is we're going to override the Sprite create message. Let's get all this so that you get the best possible chance of hearing me while I'm typing. So we're going to override the create method, which is a public method. Okay, that doesn't take any parameters at all. Okay, so what do we want to do? Well, let's load our background image. So background. I wish I could spell. I'm going to be one of those days. So background is going to be a new Flix sprite. And in our for our sprite, we put out where its starting coordinates is going to be. So this is the top left-hand corner. It's going to be 0, 0. Okay. Okay. Right, so now we want to actually load that graphic. So as it's a sprite, it will have a load graphic method now. So we should find it has a load graphic. And that's going to we need to get the graphic image, which is in our asset path now. So asset paths dot, and we should find in here a title. Oh, this is looking a bit weird. Asset paths. So in our assets, we have a title PNG. This is interesting. What's it playing at here? Let's just finish this off. Save here. Ah, right. Okay. So private var. So if we save that, I'm forgetting what we did before, aren't I? That's our class, and this is a function. So those of you who know your Haxe are probably screaming at me. So Fuel Stable, welcome to the stream. I'm a bit flustered at the moment, Fuel Stable, because I had a bit of an issue just before the stream was about to start. I managed to break everything, so I'm really glad that it's actually now working again. I broke the cardinal and upgraded my version of Haxe to the latest version, and of course it didn't work after I'd done that. So I've hurriedly kind of put it all back together, and that has that has caused me a few shudders, to be honest. I should never have done that. So asset paths, Okay, so we got our image. Now we're going to need to have the positioning. So we got the next thing. Is it animated? Well, it's going to be kind of animated, so we'll set that to true. Now we need the width and the height. Remember, it was 320 by 180 pixels, the actual size of the image. So there we go. And that's a capital P there. Okay. So that loads the graphic now for our background image. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want an animated cursor on here that we can move around. So we're going to have the option to start a new game or quit. So let's create a cursor. So I think what we're going to have to do is have another sprite for a cursor. So let's copy this and just call it underscore cursor. Okay. Okay. So now we want a cursor. It's also going to be a new sprite. Like that. So where do we want it to start? So it's going to be somewhere kind of in the middle, isn't it? So I don't know, where can we kind of, I'll just kind of guess. I know, so let's put it at, I don't know, somewhere near the middle. So that's the X position. The Y position should be, it's going to be, I don't know, 12 perhaps. Let's try that and see what that looks like. So then cursor. So we're going to. This is going to be an animated cursor. So what do we have by way of a graphic for it? Let's go and look at our assets. So have our display. Let's have a look. So there's a little kind of squirrel here in the middle. We can use that, I think, as our cursor. So you just kind of move the squirrel up and down. So that's going to be the first item in that little sprite sheet there. Okay, so that's going to be. We should have a load graphic on this, and we want then to have asset path. Asset paths dot display PNG. Okay. And it's going to be animated, and this one is not going to be animated. It's the cursor we want to animate, so this is going to be an animated sprite sheet, and it's going to be 8 by 8. Okay, so then we can say cursor dot animation. Dot add, and it's going to be the cursor animation, and it's going to be the second image in the sprite sheet, which is array value 1, of course. Well, we do there. Okay, then we want to play that. So cursor dot animation dot play. And the animation we want to play is called cursor. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So we want to add now the background to our image, to our scene. Now we want to add the cursor. Okay. I guess we ought to see what that looks like. Yes. I wonder if we can actually see it. So if we go to our main, and here instead of play state, we use menu state. And we need to add menu state in. So that's going to be state stop menu state. So this time we won't launch our game, we should launch our menu state. So we may need an update method in order to see it, but let's see what happens. Compile. Okay, so we've got here's our little squirrel cursor. Interesting that it's not quite the image is not quite big enough, is it? Well, that should be okay. It'd be nice if it filled our screen, but we'll worry about that. What I might be able to do is edit that so that it's got another band of blue pixels at the top. So we'll worry about that later. So we got our image at least. Okay, there's our. So we may do some fettling with the positions of these things. So let's look at what we want to do next. So we want to have some menu options, don't we? So the menu options we want are going to be basically start a new game or exit. Okay, so let's define our in our menu state. Let's define a static variable, private static var, and we can call it menu entries, and this is going to be an array of type string. Let's define the actual contents of that array. So it's going to be new game and exit, like that. Okay. Right, so down here, so we need to we might want to add additional menu entries at some point. So let's just step through each of those menu options. So let's use a for loop. We haven't seen a for loop in Haxe yet. So for I in 0, so position 0 up until menu entries dot length. Then we want to do so I think we can probably actually get rid of that space, make it a bit more natural. Okay, so now what we want to do is create a new variable which is going to be called entry, and it's a text object. Okay, remember everything we're mapping, we're painting onto the screen is basically a sprite, and Flix text is a text specialist text sprite that we can play with. Okay, so create a new one of those. Next, okay, and it's going to be positioned at so let's position it the same point as this. So 132. That means it's going to be on top, and we can fettle it then. 132 and 12. Okay. That's position it's going to be at. Entry dot text is going to be equal to the menu entries dot menu entries item at point I at element I, and then we're going to add that, and it's going to be add entry. Okay, so let's have a look at what that looks like. We're probably going to after oh no, it's got the text sprite already, so that's good. Okay, let's run that and see what that looks like. So Control Shift B, restart the task. Oh, starting to settle down a bit now. It's a bit of a panic, I can tell you. So here's exit new game, all written on top of each other, and also overlapping the position of our little cursor there. Okay, so we need to do some fiddling. Okay, so let's think. So I think if we move around in kind of with some 16 pixels. Remember, 16 pixels is our 16 by 16 tile, so we can kind of imagine those that as an increment we can move our text sprites around in. Okay, so let's think. So if we say that our cursor is going to be at 116, okay, and then run that. Okay, so that's reasonable. That's sitting off there, and that is the width of one of these 16 by 16 tiles away from the menu items. That's okay. Okay, and then we need to look at the actual items themselves, and we're overwriting them. We write them on top of each other, of course, aren't we here? So what we need to do there, we probably need to say we need to add on to here 16 times I. Once again, that kind of size of a tile spacing. Let's try that. Okay, so now we've got exit, new game. We've got our cursor, which is kind of our squirrel's head, kind of pointing at those, so that seems okay. Okay. Okay, so now what we want to do is to format that text, don't we? So we've already done this kind of thing. So where did we do that? In our display, didn't we? So we did this for each here, setting this pixel font. So let's grab that, like that. I just want to do the same thing in here. Let's drop that piece of code in there. We'll just try it again. Make sure we're on the right. Now we need to bring Flux color in. So Control dot on that. Import that namespace. Save and rerun. So how are you guys out there? The pudding feels stable. Are you well? There we are. We've got our kind of pixelated font with the nice kind of dark blue edging, which is kind of what we've been going for in terms of the actual look of our fonts. Okay, so what we also need to do, the last thing we need to do before we do anything else, we need to actually call the constructor of the superclass. Like that. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is add an update method, because obviously currently all we're doing is what's this all about here? I think that's an old thing. We're not actually updating our screen the 60 times a second that we need to. So let's override that then, shall we? This time remembering that it's a function and it's called update. Okay, and that takes a variable called elapsed, which is a float. That's the elapsed time that the previous invocation of the update method took. And so if it's 60 times a second, what we're kind of hoping is that each of those iterations to update is a 60th of a second in duration, and it will be held to that. If it finishes quicker than that, then it will be held to be 1/60th of a second. Okay, so we want to use our up and down arrow keys to actually to move the cursor, don't we? Okay, so we can say if and we need our global object here, flux.keys dot just pressed, and it's going to be the up button. Like that. We're going to have bring that namespace in. Okay. Let's just tidy this up. So if the up arrow is key, we want to okay, so we're going to kind of move things around here, don't we? We want to okay, we're going to need to have some kind of indication of which menu item has been selected. Okay, so let's just have an integer. Private var selected as an integer. And then what we'll do is, if we go up, it's decided to reformat my braces, don't like that. Then we'll just say we'll decrement selected, and if we press down, we'll increment selected. Okay. And then we can say that selected. Okay, so selected. We want it to wrap around, so we want it to go between 0 and 1. We experimented with some space theme shaders. I saw, yes, I did see those. That beautiful rendition of Saturn, or a ringed gas giant, and one of its moons, which is beautiful. Geosnable, very, very impressive. So we'd really like to know how to do that kind of thing in detail. So I'll have to look at the shader toy code, but it looked very impressive. So we got some quite good mathematical functions here we can do. Flux math gives us a bunch of kind of maths things we can do. Let's and we've got a wrap function, not warp, wrap, in which we can say that the menu that the selected is going to go from 0 to and be limited by the length of our menu entries array. So what we can say here is that it's selected is the value that's going to be wrapped. It's going to go between 0 and it's going to, the upper bound will be menu entries dot length. and of course -1 because it's 0 indexed. So that will keep selected in the right range. That's quite a neat bit of code, I think. Okay, and then we can say that that's going to change the position of the cursor as we use it up and down. So our cursor has got a Y position, okay, and the Y position is going to be so the menu position is the Y position is what's it going to be? So it's basically that, isn't it? Same as that, except that I is going to be selected. Okay. Okay, then we need to bring that package in, that namespace in. Okay. So let's try that out. You suspect it was up my alley, Phil Snow? Well, yes, you're absolutely right. It was great. You did. Yeah, you said you were trying some adaptive anti-aliasing. That didn't work out, did you say? Might be a good idea. But you see, did it work or not? Oh, what have I got here? Menu state line 14. Yes, that's best if I don't have gibberish in there, isn't it? Right. Okay, so we should now be able to move our little cursor up and down. And if I carry on pressing up, it just cycles round and down. Okay, so that's neat. Okay, so that's working okay. So now we want to be able to select a menu option by pressing the enter. No idea why that still thinks there's a problem. Slightly frustrating, that. Okay, so now we want to detect whether we've pressed the enter key. So if Flx g flixel g dot keys dot just pressed dot enter. In that case, what we want to do, okay, so we want a switch statement, so we can add future menu options. So we'll switch on selected. So case 0. In that case, we're going to switch state. We're going to start the game, and we've got a nice little way of doing that on our Flix G global object. We've got a switch state, and we're going to switch state, obviously, to play state. That should launch our game. Okay. And we don't need a break in Haxe. We don't need to use the break keyword. So we can say case 1. Then we're going to do a system dot exit. And we're going to exit with a good exit value, a good return code. So play state, I thought we had play state in here. Obviously we don't, so we need to bring that in. So import states dot play state, and then we want to import flash dot system dot system. Okay. Oh, it's got to be a new play state. We've got to instantiate a new one. There we go. Okay. Right, shall we give it a go? So you're saying that anti-aliasing was applied where needed, but the question is if it helps with the performance as you'd hoped by not, okay, by applying it where it's not needed. Okay. Yes, the if statement is the problem, isn't it? A bit shady. Okay, so if we press exit. So, okay, we start our game okay. Let's try that again. I didn't see exit working. So exit doesn't seem to be working. Okay, let's have a look. Now, let's have a look at play state over here. No, where did we? Is it player? Let's have a look at player. I'm sure we've done exiting before, and maybe I just made an error in that. Is it enemy? I think it's that one. So I think we want this version. We're using OpenFL, aren't we, rather than Flash. So let's go over to our menu state. Let's replace that import with the OpenFL version, because that's what we're using. Okay, let's try that again. So we're going to just see if this will exit. Okay, down and press the exit button. Nothing. Yep. Okay, let's check out our code. Menu states, okay. Close some of these windows down. So selected indeed should be 1 at this point, because it's constrained between 0 and 1 currently. Okay. I've forgotten where I found that. Display? Where did I find that? Is it in player? Going mad. It's not level loader. So that does seem to exit the game, doesn't it? Okay, well, we'll pass over that at the moment. In fact, it doesn't actually exit. It's a bit of an unfortunate thing at the moment, but let's pass over that. I don't want to get too bogged down in that kind of stuff. Okay. So what we want to do is also, when the game is over, we want to come back to this location, don't we? When we do game over, rather than exiting here, we want to come back to the menu. Okay, so in order to go back to the menu, we just want to do a flxg.switchState, and then we're going to instigate a new menu state. Whoops. We're going to have to bring that namespace in. Like that. Okay. Before we want to do that, we need that we're going to run out of lives at this point, so we need to update to reset the number of lives to our starting value, and that's in our reg.lives equals 3. So we restart the game with 3 lives. Okay. Okay. So let's test that part out by actually getting our player killed 3 times. It should be fairly easy to do. Okay, so new game. Get ready. And off we go. So let's jump up here. We're going to just die there. We should respawn. If we hit this one, we'll die. Okay. Oh, we'll just... if we can kill this one. Kill him, but we'll try and do the same to this and we'll fail. So we should now go back to our start. Game over. And we go back to the start, and we can't exit, unfortunately. I have to sort that out. Okay, fair enough. That's looking okay. Okay, so we had a score there of 280 points. We want to kind of keep that score. Move it over to the next time we play, or at least well, you want to save it as well, I think. But certainly, if we want to replay the game having lost 3 lives, we want to know that what our high score was last time. Okay, so we need to save some data to disk as part of this. There's a class we can use within Haxe Flix called the Flix Save class, which can help with this. So let's right. So where's the best place to put this? I think it's probably we need to put it into our menu state, don't we? Okay, so let's bring the Flux save namespace in. This is in flixel.utils. Flux save. There it is. Okay, so that's got a number of methods on it which are going to help us in this case. Right. Okay. So let's think. We need a save function. Let's put that in here. Okay, so static public function save score, save high score. Okay. Okay. So a private static file called save, which is going to be of type Flux save. And then we're going to say let's try to be consistent. Our save, that's going to be a new instance of the Flux save object, class, whatever. Okay, so we should have be able to should be able to bind something to this. We got to bind. We got to bind. And then we need on bind. I believe it's a dynamic. Okay, so let's put a constant in for now and see where we go from there. Okay. So not can I remember how to do this? So if we haven't managed to save any data yet, or save.date score is save data is less than the high score we've just got, then we want to save this, don't we? So then we can say something like, so save data score is equal to average score. Okay. And I think it's flush to flush the data. Let's see if that, and that should be underscore, of course. Let's see if this compiles. I'm a bit. Will it compile? Fix save. Oh, I've misspelt something. There it is. Which is why I wasn't getting my help. Let's try that again. Normally you get quite good IntelliSense from it, but I wasn't getting any there. I was a bit worried. Okay. Alright, so that compiled okay. So let's just continue with what we need to do. And then we need to load the score, don't we? We need to load static public function load high score. Okay. And this is going to load an int. Okay. So once again, we can grab this. And we need to once again do this. Something very similar here. If it's not null, it's not equal to null, and save data score is not equal to null. Then we want to what do we want to do? We want to return that value. So that should be our getting our high score from the save data. So what's it complaining about now? This is the dynamic, is it? Interesting. I'm not sure why this whole thing is being missing return int. Oh, we got to return. Yeah, so we haven't returned. All paths don't return. Elementary. Okay, so in which case, other than that, we're going to return 0, aren't we? So even though we got that red squiggly there, it does seem to work. This is where we get these issues. If I close code and restart, that's gone away now, which is something we came across a lot last time, and I don't really quite understand why that is. Okay, so now we've got our methods to load and save the high score. So now what do we need to do? Okay, I think these are in the wrong place. So I think what we need to do with these then shouldn't be on the menu state. These should be general functions that we can use from our reg class. So let's move them into that. That makes a lot more sense, I think, than having them there. They're nothing to do with menus, are they? But they are everything to do with saving scores, and reg is where our score is kept. So let's pop those values into there, and let's go and grab that and remove that, and over in here we'll create that private variable there, and then we'll do import save there. Okay, right. Okay, that's a bit more sensible. Okay. When we game over, we want to save. We want to save our score. Here's game over. So here we want to go reg, save high score. Right. Okay. So now we want to actually display what the high score is over in menu state, don't we? Because otherwise we can't see it. So let's do that next, and then we can test all this. Okay. Let's create a Flix text object, and we'll call this high score. Okay, and then in our create method here, we want to do a high score. It's a new Flix text object. Let's put it near the top, and we're gonna have it. The next object is the text field width, and it defaults to 0, but let's explicitly set to 0, and that means it's going to be dynamic, auto width, basically. Okay, so then we want to say that the text of that, the highscore.text, is going to be the word hi, and then we'll have a carriage return, and then what we had a bunch of string tools to do this, didn't we, in our display. Let's go and have a look at our display. So here they are. So here's the score. We want the same thing there. So let's grab that. Go back to our menu state. Add that in. Okay. But we don't want score here, we want low score. What did we call it? Load high score. Where is it? Menu states, that. And we need to add our high score text to our screen. Like that. Often forgetting to add your objects to the state is why things don't appear. I've done that a couple of times. So we've got 2 pluses, we can get rid of that. So let's see what happens when we do that. Let's run that and see if it builds. So it should start off with a high score of 0. So we got a function here, so that's obviously something not quite right that's going on there. So let's have a look. We've got to actually call it as a method, like that. You get used to the error message you get in C# if you're working in Visual Studio, and that would have been something like a bit. I would recognise what the error was then. Okay, let's run that. So now we have a high score and it's all the zeros. Let's have a new game. Cool, so we've got a score of 60. Go again. Get some more to this one. Let's jump. Oops. Let's get a few more. We'll fall off a cliff. 220 high score. Let's see if we can kill the monster. Oh, no, there we go. Oh, 280, there we go. So let's see if we get our high score saved away for us. 280 is there. And it didn't do it. Oh, didn't do it. Oh. It preserved our high score there instead. That's not what we want. Okay, so I've just made a mistake where I put that bit of code. I put that bit of code in display here. What have I done? Okay, intro, display, menu state. Menu state is loading the high score there. But display should be using reg.score. That's interesting. Wonder why that's doing that then. Menu state. When the game's over, we save our high score. In the menu state, we load our high score. Let's run it again. Let's see what happens. You can see I'm not very good at this game. Still, not the point. Or maybe it is. There we go, 180. Let's just run straight into the monster. 220. We should go back. We should save 220. The high score there is 0, and we go here, the score is 220. That's completely bizarre. $180, 480, 0. Okay, let's see why it's doing that. Okay, menu state. So when we get back to intro, the game's over, we save the high score. Then we switch state. Okay, so let's go to reg again. So I think there's a couple of things here. In where we go to game over, reg dot score got to be reset to 0. Okay, then in reg here, when in intro we do a save score, don't we? So save score, save high score. In reg, save high score. So I think we need to have some brackets around that lot, I think. Let's run that and try. Retro CRT, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Have some Electric Elf hype to welcome you into the stream. I've not seen you on the stream before, but you're very welcome. We're working on a platform game using the Haxe Programming Language and the Haxe Flixel library, and we're just kind of testing our high score, saving our high score. So let's pick up a coin. So I don't ever say I'm only good at these games. Let's get some coins. Let's actually get a score. And we'll jump off a cliff. So 160. Kill the monster, but we also die at the same time. 200. Currently, when we run off the edge of the screen, we actually die. Unfortunately, there we go, game over, 380. High score still says 0. If we start a new game, it says 0 correctly. At least that. Dead, yes. Completing the level kills you currently, but we'll go into the next level. Remember, this is just a test level. All we're doing is writing the code, so that we should be able to paint any level we want with all the features that we're building, and it's just a matter of designing the levels. All the code should support everything that we build with the level designer. So it's coming along well at the moment. Retro CRT. I just started. Oh, I see. Okay, it's coming together. Yeah, I didn't twig that you'd been here before, Retro. So yeah, we only just started. It is coming along. I've got quite a lot of stuff to do still. Want to get onto some kind of bonus type things to get extra coins. But let's get this. Let's see if we can get this working. So. So what are we actually saying? So when we bring our save data let's try that. I think I've been overzealous with my trying to do the logic there. So unfortunately, we have to just run a quick game again. Yeah, so we got some enemies now, Retro. So we got a this kind of enemy which we can jump on, and unfortunately, if we touch them, if we hit them wrong, we die. The red enemy we should be able to jump on and squash. We can do that, like that. But if we hit the blue enemy, at the moment we get killed. So we're going to turn into Super Squirrel in order to kill that enemy, but we haven't got any way of turning into Super Squirrel yet. But hopefully we'll do that at some point. So let's just die here. 300 is our high score. Should now go back. Game over. High score is 300, so we're preserving our high score, and we should be able to actually exit at this point. And this is what I don't know if it's going to work. Let's try. We should be able to run our code again, and we preserve our high score. So it's all we want now is to put our initials against it, isn't it? Really, and we've got a proper kind of old coin-op arcade game here. Okay, so that's good. We've got our high score feature saving, which is rather cool. So let's have a quick look at the. So what we're doing here, we're binding the save object to just a piece of text. So this is just like a name, a constant. So what we should probably do is move that into a constant, in fact, shouldn't we? So we can say there is. Private static inline final save data string equals, gonna call it game save. And then we just can replace that. Let's capitalize it a bit like we would for C# for the constant. Just make sure that hasn't affected anything. So we should still bring back a 300 high score here. And we do. Okay, so that's good. Right, okay. We've got a few other magic kind of constants flying around here, haven't we? Let's sort this out. Okay. So let's have private variable menu position, and that is a flux point. Can we initialize it here? Probably not. Let's set here. Let's set that menu position. Is a new Flix point, and it's going to be that point there, and here we can say menu position .x and menu position .y. Here this is menu position .x plus 16. This is menu .y. And then we've got this 16 here. What's it complaining about? Oh, right. Spelling it right would be good, wouldn't it? Menu position. And then we've got this 16, so let's set that as a constant. So private static inline final offset as int. That's going to be 16. Grief. And let's have score position. Let's create that again. And then this can be score position.x and score position.y. these numbers here correspond to the actual size of our image, and as you can see, the image doesn't actually fit correctly. It's too short, so I'm going to need to go and change my image. So it has so the actual, it's 320, it's 240 rather than 180, so it needs another 60 pixels adding to the top. I'll do that off stream. That's a bit tedious to watch. Okay, so that's menu state. Let's just build that and make sure everything's happy. The other thing that's not working here is when we go to exit, it doesn't exit the game, which is somewhat weird. Let's just do a quick search. So Haxe Flix exit game. So they're just saying import flash system. We add OpenFL system, and they just got that. And we've got that system.exit 0. That didn't work for us. Okay, well, we'll have to just look at that later. I don't want to get bogged down with that. So that's just that there, and we're using OpenFL system. Let's just check this out. It contains properties related to local settings. And we've got exit. Closes the flash player. And it's not closing our canvas. It could be because we work in HTML5. Which makes sense. I guess if we're running with Nico and the Flash player, then it would exit. Okay, well maybe it's not a problem then. I think it's probably because we're using the canvas HTML5. Okay, so what do I want to do next? Well, I think I mentioned a few minutes ago, it'd be nice if we could have ways of getting extra coins. So we've got nice coins kind of laid out on the level, but let's have a box which you can, when you're underneath, you jump up, bang it, and it drops some coins. So how can we do that? This is basically a bonus block, isn't it? So let's create a bonus block class. We'll put it in our objects directory, our objects folder. Call it a bonus block. So these are all the kind of objects that we're going to be working with and painting with our level editor. So just like enemies, coins, the player himself, which we position and control the initial locations of with the tiled editor for our level. This is very similar. So we're going to place bonus blocks. So let's create the class. So we've got a bonus block class. Okay. So this is going to be going to be a sprite. Okay. To learn not to do that. Okay. So we want a constructor for our class. That's a public function. It's called new, and it's going to have the position where the block is going to live. So x, which is a float, and y, which is a float. Okay, and then we're going to call the function, the constructor of the super class, which is Flix Sprite. Call that with xy. So that will do all the kind of the positioning of the sprite, etc. So now we're just going to do the overridden kind of functionality. Now there's a whole bunch of properties that we inherit when we extend Flix Sprite, and one of them is this solid property, and when it's false, then our player doesn't collide with it. When it's true, we do collide, and we want to be able to collide with this. So we're going to set this solid flag here to true. So that means we can walk on top of that the block. We can also, when we jump up and hit it, we're going to collide with it. We can detect that collision and then produce some coins as a result. It also wants to be immovable. Immovable is another property. We can't move it around. We can't drag it. Now, movable blocks. We could think of doing something in the game where we have a little puzzle where there's a platform that's high up and we can't get to, and we could move blocks around and push them around with the player, so that we can stand on them and then jump a bit higher. So that's one thing we could possibly think of as an addition. So we want a graphic for our bonus block, and here's the graphics we've got so far. Let's have a look. So we've got a block with a coin in it. This is the coin, yeah, and this is a block with a coin in it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the one we want, I think. Maybe that's not the right tile though. Let's have a look. We've got items here. Oh, this looks a bit better. Let's bring this in. So these ones here, these two here. So what we can have is that when there's coins available, the block looks like this with the kind of circle in it. And then when we jump against it and the bonus block drops its coins, it turns into this box here, this tile, which hasn't got the circle in. I think that's it. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. 7 and 8. Okay. Let's base it on 7 and 8 then. So we want to load a graphic. So we have the load graphic function which we've inherited. We've got our asset paths macro here, and here we want items.png. The next thing is the animated. Well, it's kind of animated, and we're going to swap between two different kind of graphics. True, then we want the width, which is 16 by 16 tile. Okay, so that's loaded our graphic, and then we want to set animations up. So animation dot add. And this animation we're going to call full, and that is going to be that was 7, the 7th item in the array, and then animation add empty, and that was the 8th element in the array. Or the it's actually the 9th element. Obviously it's 0 element, so it's element number 8. Okay, and then we want to play our full. So we're going to start in the full of coins, animation. It's not really animated in the sense that it's actually moving, but it's going. There is an animation, and we can now switch between full and empty. Okay, so that's our constructor. We're going to want to have a way that that this block is going to react when the player hits it. So let's kind of sketch that in. So public function it's going to be hit, and we're going to pass the player into that, which is a type player. Okay. So let's not do it much with that for the moment. Save that. I think we're going to need to build that. I'm sure we need to bring the player in. This player as an object. Oh no, we're okay. Right, okay, fine. Oh, of course, it's in the same module, same package. Player's in the same object package. It's down here, so we don't need to reference it directly. Okay, well that's good. Okay. So let's go into our tiled editor now. Let's open tiled. I will actually remind me next month. I will pay and support this project. Okay, level. So here's our level. So let's think, what can we do? So we're going to need to build something new here, aren't we? Because at the moment there's nothing we can actually jump up and hit. So how about having something that just floats here? So let's have we're going to need to create a new layer, aren't we? Let's create a platform. Unlock the main. Go to the main layer, unlock it. Let's create a platform like that. Okay, so that's a platform that you can jump on top of. So we can go. Let's get rid of. How do I delete? Oh, I forget the controls. It's very annoying. Eraser. So now we can jump up here. Maybe we can jump up here and I don't know what we'd do up there. We probably ought to have some other things, but let's make a couple of these blocks. Where's place block? Damp. Let's put that there. Okay, so we can lock that. Remember, it doesn't really matter. The design of this level doesn't really matter. It's just a playground for us to test stuff. Let's create a new layer. This is going to be an object layer, and it's going to be called blocks. And what we'll do is we'll move that up to the top. Okay. So in our blocks layer, we're going to grab so we want to bring in our tile sets here, don't we? We can choose anything we want. We we choose this and we stamp we're going to place an object, dirt tile. We'll just choose this to represent where this special block's going to be. We're going to have two of them there. What we're going to do is erase one of them though. Let's select object. Move it up a bit. There we go. So that's just marking a position of our blocks in this layer. Not necessarily the graphic that's going to appear. It's just something to actually signify that there's a block there. That's where we're going to put our bonus blocks. So what's this? And select objects. Object here. We won't give them names at the moment, but we may want to give them names eventually because we might have different types of bonus block. Let's save that. Okay, so that's the new level and the two positions for our bonus blocks. Let's go back over here. Okay. So now what we want to do is go over to our level loader. So level loader, where's that? Here, in our utils. This is where we're loading all the different pieces of our game. So first we're loading the background, the main level. So first we're loading the actual main level, which is all the platforms, and we're loading the background. You see, they're just these images really. Then we start loading level objects. We've got get level objects, and get level objects is this function we wrote here. So we should be able to just extend this. Okay. So there's our enemies. Let's get our blocks. That's going to be very similar. Let's just grab this piece of code actually. We're going to say this is the level we're going to grab is the blocks level from our tiled map. Okay, and then so we want to put this into some state. We want to create something in our state for that to hold our blocks, don't we? Let's just comment that out for a second. Let's think about what we need to do in terms of our play state. So we've got items, enemies. So we're going to want to have some blocks as well, aren't we? This is going to be very, very similar to this. So let's copy that, call it blocks. And one thing where we've gone wrong before is we haven't initialized that to actually be a new typed group. So let's do that now. So now we've got a place to actually load our blocks into. So we can go back to level loader, and here we can state.blocks. .add. It's going to be a new bonus block. we'll call this block. Like that. The minus 16 here is because of the difference between the way the tiled editor has its origin for the tile and the way Haxe works. So Haxe top left hand corner is 0, 0, the origin. On tiled, that each tile's origin is in the bottom left hand corner, not the top left hand corner. So we must take 16 away from the Y direction to move it up. Remember that the positive Y direction is down. Let's bring that in. Oh, no, it's not gonna be happy. Let's do it manually. Bonus block. Okay. Okay. So now, if we run our code, we should see in the position where we put those boxes there, we should see our bonus blocks appear. They won't do anything yet, but we should see them. That might be worth testing at this stage. Let's try that. So unfortunately we have to actually move to do this. And I can't see them. So they should be here, shouldn't they? And they're not there. Okay. So let's go and have a look at what we've done wrong. Did we call it blocks? We did. I did save. Lock that off. Okay. So I think it must be a layering issue. Have we layered them correctly? Let's have a look. Back in our place state. I didn't add them, which is the classic thing. Forgot to add the blocks. So let's add the blocks. Okay, add a player. Identities. Add blocks. Okay, so we may come back to this, I think, because it's a bit kind of, we're going to have different types of blocks, and to have loads of adds here it might be something better to do with what we've done with the entities. We've added items and pickup items and enemies here to the entities. Maybe we have a terrain where we add all different types of special blocks that we're going to create. I think that's probably what we'll do. So let's start this up again and see if we've actually can make our bonus blocks actually appear. I should have made them closer to where the player is, but never mind, doesn't matter. Great. So they're there though, we can see the blocks there. Okay, so they're in their full configuration. The circles on them. I'm just going to have a look at it again. Oops. There they are. So hopefully what's going to happen is we're going to be able to send them and jump up and down and just turn them into their empty configuration, and they should give us some coins for bouncing on them. Okay, so we should be able to just test this. We should be able to stand on top of them. We can. And if we jump up and down on them, let's wait, nothing happens. Okay, good. So we need to kind of implement this this kind of when we hit them kind of concept, don't we? Okay. Stop this. Right. Bonus block. Here's our hit function. So we're detecting the player. Okay. So we want to check that we've overlapped with the we're going to call the hit method when the player kind of collides or overlaps with one of those blocks. Okay. We don't, but the problem with overlap is that it actually allows the player to go on top of the objects. Exactly the same when we get the coins. Overlap, we actually physically go on top of the coin and pick it up. This is a solid object, it's a block, so we don't want that to happen. So we've got to separate the two objects so they don't overlap, physically overlap on the screen. That is, even though we're calling the overlap collision detection. So there's a way of doing that. We can say Flux object dot separate. And in there we just say basically this and the player. It keeps them physically separate in the game world. And all we're going to do really then is say that if is touching this and the player, then we want to do something. But what we'll do is we'll write out a message at this stage. So we'll make sure we can detect this collision. So we'll just write player has triggered a bonus. Getting a trace message. Let's save that. Okay. Now back to play state. Right. Okay, so let's go with this idea of entities. Same thing as entities. Let's have terrain. So entities as a Flux group. Let's create the same kind of thing. Call it terrain. And then we'll create a new one of those. Okay. Then we'll say terrain to add blocks. Like that. And we'll add terrain. There. Okay. So here we're adding the map, aren't we? Look. Add state map. So where's map? Map is a tile. Looks like a tile map. Okay. I think what we'll do is add our map into the train as well. So let's do that. Like that. Okay. This is where I'm in two minds about what to do here. Let's just check that out. I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. Yeah, we got some errors. Okay, so bonus block. So we need to bring that on. Let's try that. Yeah, let's try that. So it's saying bonus blocks line 23. What's wrong with that? Oh, I see. This is wrong. It shouldn't be this there, should it? So what we're really saying actually is that's going to be it's only if we hit it from underneath that we're going to trigger it. No fields separate. What it did. There it is. Separate, spelt it wrong. Wonderful. There we go. yeah, we've lost our blocks, haven't we? So I do need to add them in. Okay, fair enough. So here, in our play state, so terrain is. I want to use terrain to simplify our collisions. So let's add blocks in here for now, and we'll think about what the best way of doing the rest of it is. That should bring back our visibility of our blocks. Okay. I know what we can do. Rather than let's add blocks to entities as well. Okay, so oops, that's not what I meant. Blocks. Oh no, I've got it. Adding the map to terrain. So this is going to be our. We're going to use this for collisions. We're now displaying entities. Okay, that's good. Save. Okay. Let's go and have a look at our update function. So if the players were live, that. This now can be terrain. So the map all the any other items of terrain, and this can be terrain as well. So the enemies colliding with any piece of terrain. So that means that the enemies will respect our blocks, our bonus blocks, as being terrain. Okay, so that sounds like it's what we want to do. And then we want to come down here and look at the collide entity. This is going to be very similar code. Let's copy that code. So if it's a bonus block, then we're going to pass it into hit, pass the player into hit. Like that. It's very similar to interact with enemies. Okay, so let's save that and see if we can. We need to bring that in. Oops. Objects bonus block. We'll run our level. So now we want to make sure that we do interact when we hit from underneath. Hit that bonus block from underneath. Let's press F2, I think it is. So we've got our console here. So if I can actually see if I can actually guide Flix or squirrel along here. Oops. Okay, so there we are. So now if we stand underneath one, if we bang it, nothing is happening as far as I can see. Do our trace log. Okay, so we're not doing something right. So let's stop that. Let's have a look at what we were doing wrong. Play state. So we've got our overlap. We should be calling that. So if we overlap with the bonus block, I think we need to detect the overlap before we detect the collision with the map, with the terrain. Overlap with the special object, the bonus block in this case, we need to detect that first before we use the built-in collision detection to make sure that we stay on top of the block when we stand on it. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Oops. So now, if we press F2, bring up the console, and if I jump, there we go, triggered a bonus. And again. Okay, so that's working. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now we need to go back and look at what actually happens when we hit things. Let's have a look at the bonus block. So what do we actually do? Okay, so what we can do here so we can use a tween, I think. A tween is like an animation that goes between two states or two positions. So what's the best way to do this? Okay, so let's think about it. So if we are touching Flix, Tween, let's bring that in. If I could bring this thing straight away. It's not going to let me. Okay. Import Flixel. Flix. Tween. Where's Tweens live then? Tweens. Flix Tween. There we go. Okay. So what we got on here? We want to create a tween, don't we? So what's the value? So it takes some dynamic objects, a duration. Okay. So the object, the first object is this, isn't it? The Y is going to be, let's say, my 4 kind of pixels. Think about this. Oh, it's an object. Okay. Let's make an object. Duration of the tween in seconds, well, very short. And then we want another object, which is going to be our options, and these are callback. These are callback functions. So we want the onComplete when we've completed our tween. So onComplete, that's going to be some function we're going to create. So give coins. We're going to need a private function. Give coins, and that's going to be so let's have a class variable. Private var is empty, which is going to be a boolean, and we'll say let's be consistent. Underscore is empty. It's going to be true. When we create is empty equals false. Empty is true to begin with. False to begin with. Return it to true, and then we're just going to change it to the empty. This initially we'll just change it to the empty. The empty block. So it should just change. So we play that animation of empty. So that should make it change from a block with a circle to a solid block. Well, that's going to be interesting to see if that actually works. Let's see. I'm running out of drinking. I'll get another drink in a minute. Interesting. It seems to be. There we go. New game. All I wanted to do is get to that platform. I should have put it closer. Never mind. There we go. So now if we jump up, it should change. So that's interesting how it's moved like that, but okay, maybe that's okay. Okay. I think we need to position those blocks a bit better. But that's okay, they've moved a bit. But I think they've moved up by 4, that's right. Okay, so they have moved, that's what we wanted to happen. No. Let's have a look. We could just not do that. Let's get to 0 and try that again. I don't know if I like that movement upwards by 4 of the blocks. It could be the right thing to do. Let's have a look. Oh dear. I'm never going to be any good at this game. There we go. So let's jump up here now. They just changed. I think I prefer them not to actually shift. Yeah, that's better. It's a bit smoother. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So the tweening was when it slid up by that amount. So we don't, strictly speaking, we don't have to do the tween. So let's just create a constant for that. So private static inline final block move pixels, which is an int, equals 0, and then we can just fiddle with it later. Pixels. So we'll just change that to that. Okay. Right. So we could have it moved very slightly, I suppose. Let's have it moved 2 pixels and see how we feel about that in a bit. Okay. So we need to know we need to create a coin to come out of the box, the bonus block, don't we? Okay. Let's go over to our coin object. Okay. So we want a function on this that'll produce a coin. Whenever we call it, it will produce a coin. So, okay, let's do that. Let's have a public function, and we'll call it so what exactly do you want to do? When we hit the coin, we hit the block, we want the coin to be produced and to fall out of the block. So we want to, yeah, okay. So let's call it set from block. It doesn't take any arguments, so it's not going to be a solid object. It's going to be a coin, solid. So this is one of our properties that that sprites have. So this is a Flix or Sprite coin. It's not going to be solid. It's going to accelerate. It's going to fall. Give it acceleration in the y direction, and the positive y direction. Let's give it. I think that's probably what gravity is at the moment. 420. Let's have a look at our player. There's player. Yeah. Gravity was 600, so it's going to fall slower than gravity, which is fine. Its velocity is going to be velocity.y is going to be, I don't know. I don't know, it's 90. And we want a timer. So new Flix timer. So what's the timer going to do? It's going to, we're going to start the timer. It's going to run for about 0.3 of a second, so very short. It's going to call a function. So where's the other timers? Let's have a look at some of the timers we've done. So we've done something like that, haven't we? Then called a function. Okay. So we can then say function. So this is an anonymous function. And what we're going to do in there, we're going to call the collect function, aren't we? Yeah, collect. So basically what's going to happen, the coin's going to be produced and then it's going to be automatically collected. So this means we're not going to collide with the coin, which is important. After 0.3 of a second, we're going to call collect. Collect will increase our score, increase our number of coins, and it will kill the object, kill the sprite. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So in our bonus block, we want to create item here. Let's try this. Private function. Create an item. Let's create a coin. It's a new coin, and we need it to appear in the vicinity of X and Y, where our bonus block is. Let's just try passing X and Y into there. And we must remember to account for the 16 pixels difference. Okay. We'll have it 4 from the block. We want to add our coin to our state, don't we? And the state's been held here, so this is the trick that we used last time to have access to the play state. Brave Cobra 2, hi there, how are you? I'm very good, thank you, Brave Cobra. Thank you for joining the stream. Have a bit of hype. Yeah, what we're working on, we're working on a platform game. It's written using the Haxe language and the Haxe Flixel library. So I'll show you in a second. We're going to just about to test it. So we've got access to our state from our reg object. So over here we can say that reg.state can add the coin to our state. Oops, I can spell it. Yeah, so this is Haxe, which is it's a high-level language. It's a mixture of object-oriented and functional. It's got a lot of really neat features in it. A new version just came out for 4.1.1, but unfortunately when I upgraded I managed to break my program with it. There's been some changes which I need to kind of work out. It's been around for about 10 years and it's primarily used for game programming, but it doesn't have to be. It's similar to C#. It's similar to ActionScript, perhaps, if you know about ActionScript. But it compiles to lots of different targets. So currently we've got it compiling to JavaScript, and we're kind of displaying our game in a HTML5 canvas. But we can also get it to produce C# source code, C++ source code. We can also run it as bytecodes for a couple of virtual machines, one called Nico and another one which is called what's it called? Hashlink. So there's a number of different kind of targets that we can go for. It's completely cross-platform, so Windows, Linux, Mac, also mobile devices. You can target mobile devices, so iOS, Android. And the Haxe language itself has a large number of libraries. Mainly at the moment they're targeted at games. Yes, it's similar to C#. Yes. Go away. So we're using Haxe Flixel, which is based upon Flixel, which was for Flash. So we're using OpenFL and Lime for the low-level kind of networking and stuff. So that's what we've got set up at the moment. Let's save it and give it a go. Let's give it a go. So Control-Shift-B to run the build task. And we're also using a level editor called Tiled, which has got kind of deep support for. It's got support for a number of level editors, but what we got here, int should be Flixel. Okay, so this has got to be a point. So here we need to change these are floats at the moment. They need to be integers. Let's give that another go. Coin 44. What's it complaining about? Coin. Coin. Acceleration.y. Yes, in the y direction. Yes. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so what we've done today, Brave Cobra, is we've produced this this kind of menu, this start menu with the background. There's a bit of a problem in that it needs to have another 60 pixels added to the bottom of this, or the top of this image. I'll sort that out. We've added this menu, so we can go to for a new game and exit. Exit's not working at the moment, so we've got a high score, and this is a persistent high score, so this high score is being saved. As you can see by the high score of 300, I'm not actually very good at the game. We have a start screen, and here's the level. We've got some nice coins being animated and things, and I can jump around. Jump around here. So what we've just implemented, these blocks here. So if I jump up, it just moves them slightly. But it's not producing any coins. So why isn't it producing a coin? Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Let's just restart Visual Studio to get rid of that squiggly. Okay. So we've got bonus block. Oh, we need to call create item, don't we? So we're calling give coins here. Create item. I think that should be it. Oops. Let's see if we can get some coins to come out. We got 100 points. Oh dear, got killed. So that blue enemy there, Brave Cobra, is one which we can't actually kill yet. We need to turn into Super Squirrel to do that, but we can't do Super. Oh god! And currently we don't have no power-ups to turn into Super Squirrel. We'd be able to fire kind of, I don't know, fire all I want to do is try out the blocks. Game over. You notice how also the high score is the real high score, so it's my 300 is as high as I've got today since we added that feature. So let's go and stand under that. There we go, coin appears. And it pops up and then falls down onto me, so that's the bonus block. Okay, so that's working nicely. Okay. So we're going to power up now, aren't we? What's the time? I'm just going to get a brief drink. Do I want to mix my game logic with my rendering logic? The game logic will be kind of all separated out eventually. We're still very much in development. We're not in prototyping. We're not actually anywhere where we're anywhere finished. Most of the actual rendering of the game is in our level loader here, which actually loads all the various components up. So we started that refactoring, but yeah. There's a whole load of work to do, to be honest. I'm just going to hit the be right back and just grab a drink. I'm a bit dry. One second. Right, we're back. Okay. So yes, okay. Let's think about what the next thing we want to do. Power up. Okay. This bonus block is still complaining, isn't it? What's it complaining? Not enough arguments. Okay, let's try this trick again. And now, is it happy? Yes, it is happy. All of a sudden it's happy. Okay, well, don't pretend to understand that. So let's think about power up then. Let's create an object to represent a power up. Okay. That's a class. Once again, it's going to extend the sprite. Okay. So we're going to want a public function new, and we're going to create the power up once again at a x and y position. Okay, we're going to call the constructor on the superclass as we always do. So that initialize everything. Use every small class that renders everything per object, yeah. Attach the module to each object that needs to be rendered. So that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it? But yeah, I think there's plenty of work to be done to tidy the code up. As I'm learning Haxe as well as everything else, it's a matter of trying to apply knowledge of from other programming languages really to how it gets refactored and how it gets actually structured. But we are kind of working within the Haxe Flix framework as well, which I'm still learning. So plenty to be done there. Okay, so let's have a look at our assets that we've got. Our items assets. So a power up. So that's a power up there, I think. So let's make that our power up that we're going to see. Okay. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth. The element number 5. Okay. So we can do a load graphic. Use our macro, asset paths. And it was items. And it's going to be animated, so we set true, and it's 16 by 16 tile. So the animation up, animation to add, idle, and it's element number 5 from the array, and we're going to do animation dot play. So how this works is if we put more than one element in the array, then it will animate those. Each individual frame will be animated for us. But we're animating one frame currently. But it's just using animate as our way of rendering. We're giving this a velocity in the y direction, and it's going to be, I don't know, -16. It's going to just move slowly in the up direction. Okay. Let's think. Well, it's going to be a moving. It's going to be a thing that moves around. I think is the idea here. So we need to give it speed. Let's set some basic variables up, or some basic constants up. So private static inline final speed, and that's going to be 40 pixels, and then we want gravity. It's going to have a different gravity to the player. The player's got gravity of 600. We'll have a gravity of 420, which is what all our objects use as gravity. So 420, that's okay. And then we want to get, it's going to go in either direction. So very similar to our enemies. Let's have a look at an enemy. The way we set up the enemy, we're going to walking speed of 40 there. This is a similar kind of thing. We've got a direction. We'll copy that. Give our power up a direction. And he's moving, which is a bool. And we'll set that off as false. Oops. Okay. So we need an update. Obviously, it's a sprite. It's going to get updated once per frame, and we're running at 60 frames a second. Cheers, everyone, by the way. So we'll override our update. This one has lapsed. This is a float. Elapsed, not lapsed. Thinking of work too much there. Okay. So what do we do when we move? So if the game is paused, if we go back to say our enemy, we check things like, is the game paused? So we only move if we're not paused. So we want to do something similar here. You want to do things if the game is not paused. So the power up is going to move around. So if the game isn't paused, then things are going to happen each frame. If we're not moving, and so so what's going to happen is a power up. It could be something that is produced by our bonus blocks. So not only can it produce coins, it can also produce power ups. So when we hit it, we want the power up to rise up from the block. So we're going to hit it from underneath. Instead of a coin dropping down, the power up's going to rise up from the block and sit on top of the block. So we want it to rise up until so the Y position is a multiple of 16, because 16 is the number of pixels in a tile. So it's going to rise up until its Y position is a multiple of 16. So what we can do there, we can use the math functions here that we've got. Math.floor of Y, so the minimum value of Y has got to be divisible up exactly by 16. Okay, so then we'll set the velocity in the y direction to be 0. Acceleration in the y direction is going to be gravity, and his moving will be true. Okay. On the contrary, if we are moving, then the velocity in the x direction will be equal to our direction, which is here, times its speed. So the direction is currently -1, so it's going to be in the -x direction. And if we hit a wall, then we're going to flip our direction. So if we hit an obstacle, a wall, or anything like that, or a box, or or an enemy, even, I guess, then we're going to just bounce off. So then we can say if just touched. An object's Flix object dot. I think it's going to be wall. So wall basically counts as all the sides. We can't get any IntelliSense for that at the moment. Let's just save that. Bring that object in. Then we'll get some IntelliSense on this. So the wall is a special constant, meaning left and right hand sides for our collision detection. Okay. Rather than having to say left and right, we can just use wall. So if we did that, then direction flip the direction. And that should be all we need to do there, apart from we need to just do the super. Run the update function. On the super class. Okay. And then we want a collect function, don't we? Okay, so public, and we won't write this one completely at the moment. We'll do a trace once again. Once again, the player is going to collect. And here we're going to kill the sprite, and then we're going to do a trace. Player powers up. Okay. Right. Okay. So untiled, we have these objects here which we've got. Let's just unlock the blocks level. You can see we've got these two blocks here on our blocks layer. Over here is the kind of a property sheet for them, and one of them is type, one of the properties. So the default kind of block is going to be dropping a coin, but what we can have is that a special block is going to be a power up. So let's give it a type of power up. Power up. So this one here, the one on the leftmost, is going to be our power up block. It's got a type of power up. Okay. Let's have a look at bonus block. Let's create a public contains variable as a string. So in here we're going to kind of put some text in what kind of goodie our bonus block is going to contain. So let's go over now to our level loader, and this is where we get our blocks here. So before we add the block to the state, what we're going to say here is that we're going to grab this here. We're going to say var bonus is going to be that. Then we're going to add bonus here. Okay. Then we're going to say bonus dot contains. That's going to equal block dot type. Okay, so that way we've now picked up that this block type is either going to be empty string or it's going to be power up in this case. So we now passed the type of block that we picked up into our bonus block. So what we need to do now in the create item is actually say, well, okay, we create a coin by default, but otherwise we create other things. What we can do here is we can say something like switch contains to the default. It's going to be that lot. Case power up. Then we do something different. Say var power up. Let's type power up. It's going to be a new power up. And we'll do the same thing here. Okay. And then we're going to add, so reg dot state dot items dot add power up. So now I think what we need to do is change this to give reward. It's no longer just coins. Okay, and now we need to go over into our play state. Our play state update here. Okay, so now we're going to say, well, we could have a power up here. I'm going to call the collect function on that. Okay, so let's not go too much further without seeing what happens when we run that. So here we should get a coin, which we do. What happens when we do this one? And we get a power up which comes, and unfortunately it's stuck between these two things here, so we need to sort that out. I don't think we need those things to raise up. It's ejected its power up and we need to go and grab it. So let's stop it there. Let's go back to our bonus block. Move pixels, I'm going to change that to 0 and run again. Here we get the coin. Now here we're going to release a power up. That just dropped, didn't it? That just dropped. And obviously we're not setting it to empty. So what we want is it to appear like it did before on top. So let's okay, well we can do that. It's just the level design's not very good. Let's change that back to 2. And here again. Having the 2 bonus blocks next to each other is obviously going to, if you do it in the right order, is going to trap the power up. So that's not very good, but it doesn't matter in this. I can move them around. It doesn't actually matter in this case. Let's go and just bump that one. It rises up, moves over, and then we should be able to grab it, which is what should happen here. Okay, that's looking okay. So I'm just looking at the time. Okay, let's see if we can do the actual power up of the player, shall we? And then we'll call it quits. Okay, so when you're touching a power up bonus, you need to kind of grow bigger, become super squirrel, and then you can do special things. Okay, so we need to be at halt. While that goes on, while the player kind of grows into super squirrel, we need to kind of stop the player from being animated, so we can then grow it. So that if you go in left and right, etc., it doesn't animate. Okay, so let's think about that. Player. Let's create a private stop animations is false. So we don't animate if stop animations is set to true. Okay. So okay. So what can we do in terms of, we need to track whether we're in super mode or not. So there's a property called health which we can probably use. As we've got our own lives, kind of our own lives counter, we're not using the health of the sprite, so we can use that, I think. So let's go and look at our assets. So we haven't got the right assets over here. Let's go over to our D drive. So this graphic here has got both ordinary squirrel and super squirrel in it. So let's use that. Player both. Copy that. Move it across to our asset directory. Images, drop that in there. Okay, what we need to do then is build. And hopefully our assets path macro will recognize that we've got a new image. We can not actually run. So in our player object now, our player class, rather than loading player PNG, let's load both, player both. And it hasn't picked it up, as you can see. So let's just do this. And see if it's picked it up now. Player both, it has got that. That's really weird. I'm not sure what's going on there. We've come across several occasions when we've had to just restart Visual Studio Code. So now we're loading in exactly the same animations as before, except now we've got an extra set of animations, or a set of frames, which are for Super Squirrel. So if we look here, you can see we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as before, and they've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, which represent kind of striding along basically. Here's idle and then there's walking, and we flip the sprite for walking left and right. And because the death icon, the falling death icon, we don't use, because when you're in Super Squirrel mode, then if you get hit, you just shrink down to ordinary squirrel. So that's not a problem. Okay. Right. So it obviously Super Squirrel is twice as big. It's 16 by 32 rather than 16 by 16. So we need to actually change this 16 by 16 to 16 by 32. However, then of course our animations are slightly wrong. we need to actually set the size of our creature, our squirrel. Okay, so we need a switch. And we're going to use health as a flag, whether we're in super squirrel mode. Health is a property on the sprite. So we'll just close that off there, and then we'll say, okay, case 0. Then we're going to do all of this lot. Let's in fact, these ones here are falling and dead. Those animations remain the same, so they can come outside of the switch statement. So we need to change this offset now. It's no longer 4x4. We just added 16 to this Y, so we need to add 16 to that number, so that's now 420. Okay, now so if health is 1, we are super squirrel, and we need to set our animations up again. Okay, so this time it's going to be 48, and we're going to double this, 24, set the size. So the setting size is the bounding box for collisions, so the actual graphic of the squirrel is slightly shorter than 32, although the whole tile is 32 pixels. It's only 24 pixels ish. So this is going to be ideally 7, and it's going to be 8, 9, 10, 9. This is going to be 11, 12. In fact, I think fall. That's probably right. That's probably 12 as well for 4. That is 6 because he's got to be only be small. You only die when you're a small squirrel, and then we want a new animation. So if we look at our animation, again, our object here, our image, you can see what we can do is we can animate between 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to there. We can go boop, and this can be our grow and shrink, can't it? Between 5 and 12. Yeah. So we'll have a new animation. Add. Change. And that's going to animate between 5 and 12 using 24 frames. I'm guessing, so let's do that. Okay. So we need a function on here that allows us to power up. So we've got a move function, a jump and animate. So let's have a power up. Let's stick it in here. We need to make it public so we can call it from elsewhere. Okay. So if we're already powered up, then we don't care. We can't power up again. So if we aren't powered up already, then we want to pause the game. So all the animations stop while we grow. I'm going to stop animations. So our player doesn't animate anymore. We want to play our powered up animation, our change animation. Okay. And we want to set our velocity to so we stop still. We don't have any velocity in the X or Y direction. So if we were moving, we suddenly stop. And once again, velocity and our acceleration. This is a way of setting the X and Y values of these velocity and acceleration at the same time. Okay. And now we want a timer. So these timers are what gives us that kind of the transformations, the changes are going to happen over a short period of time. We're going to grow. So we increase our health, which is our flag we're using here to say whether we're powered up or not. And then we want to reload the graphics. So that means we re-evaluate our switch statement here. So we want to do this in a timer, though, don't we? Okay, so let's set up a flex timer. We've done this before. So the first number is going to be, this is going to take 1 second to happen. Then we're going to have a function. That function is going to contain okay, we're going to do that. Then we're going to unpause the game. And we're going to set stop animations to false as well. Player becomes animated once again. Okay, so reload graphics is what we want to do here. So let's grab this code . Say reload graphics. Private function reload graphics. And when we do a new, we want to make sure our health is always 0. squirrel. We need to bring Flix timer in. What's it complaining about? Let's try and build. I want to do a new Billy Boy. Okay, we're in business. So all we need to do on the collect function now, when we call collect, we need to actually call power up on the player so that it actually has an effect. So that would be on bonus block, so on power up collect. Rather than doing that, what we need to do is say that if the player is 0, then players up, power up. Or else we can just increase our score. And the score amount we haven't defined, so let's say it's going to be 200 points. What should it be? Let's say, I don't know, 50 points. Okay, so let's see how we get on. Right. Let's run. Missing semicolon. Indeed. So if this works, I think that's probably a suitable position to leave the game in. Ready for next time? If we can become Super Squirrel, then we need to actually give ourselves some abilities as Super Squirrel. Let's go and collect some coins. Drop down here, come along here. Sit under there to get the bonus. Go and collect the bonus, and we become, we've kind of sunk into the ground a bit, haven't we? Yeah, so we're not quite right. But we are supersized. So let's fix that up. So we've kind of shrunk. We've sunk about 8 pixels into the block. Okay, so where's that gonna be? we got a factor of 16 in here somewhere. We need to change to 32. Okay. So, new. Reload graphics. That's probably 1632. That's 16 wide, 32 tall. When we power up, let's power up. I am Nichols, thank you very much for the follow. Have some hyperspatial hype. Thanks so much, that's really kind of you. We're kind of motoring towards our target now, 98% of the way there. Thank you very much for that. So we're currently working on this platformer in the Haxe Programming Language, and I don't know if you caught what was going on. I might leave this until next time. When we power up and become Super Squirrel, then we sink into the ground, which is a bit unfortunate. If we come here, grab our bonus. We seem okay. We seem to change and then sink, which is a bit weird. So it's almost as if that's set. It's those sets, I think, in our reload graphics. So reload graphics. This offset, I wonder if it's that. Let's just comment out the offset and see if that is having any effect. Have you any experience with Haxe at all? Okay, so that's better, isn't it? We seem to be stuck at that position for some reason. We can't move left or right, but we have grown. I wonder why we can't actually move freely. Okay, well that's better at least. We know that we're now sitting on top of the surface and we have grown to Super Squirrel. We need to figure out why we are not actually able to move. But I think I'm going to leave that till next time because it's now We've been going for well over 3 hours now, so I think that's probably time to stop. So thank you very much for joining me. Cheers. Thank you, A.M. Nichols, for the follow. This video will be up on YouTube within 24 hours. Joins the other parts of this series and the other 90 odd different videos are up there, all our different projects. So we've done lots and lots of different projects. We don't just work on games. We've done an Alexa skill. We've worked on a Z80 emulator and a Spectrum emulator, Spectrum 48K emulation. We've done an AI chatbot. We've worked on our text adventure. Pardon me, our text adventure game. We built a whole gamut of different projects. Musical stuff. We got a synthesizer. We got some VST plugins for synthesizers. A whole bunch of stuff that's been worked on. And I do like to challenge myself on these kind of programs. So that's what we do. Okay, so let's push all this lot to GitHub. So that you can look at the code. So episode 92. So it's all available under MIT open source license. The only thing that's not there is for this particular project is the graphical assets, and later on the sound assets won't be there. You'll have to provide your own if you want to do that. But everything else will be there. For all the other projects I do, then all the code is available for you to change, to use as you wish. It's under MIT for very permissive licenses, so you know, there's no real restrictions. If you do want to provide some pull requests, do feel free to do so. You might want to talk to me first. If you want to talk to me about any pull request ideas you've got, then just check out my Discord, which is there. My YouTube channel is here. Do feel free to subscribe. It's completely free to do so. It helps me out tremendously. And let's find someone to raid, and then I will see you next week. So let's go and find someone to Source Coach raiding. Thank you very much for the raid, Source Coach. I was about to raid, and I was thinking of raiding yourself actually. So I've just finished. So I do really appreciate that raid though. Let's find somebody else. Normally, kind of traditionally, Source Coot would be my raid target, but let's go and find somebody else who's not Source Coot. Okay, well, CM Griffin G. Let's go and raid them. I don't know what they're doing, but let's go and find out. So, if you joined us from Source Coot, yes, we've. Thank you very much, Source Coot. I do appreciate that, but it's my bedtime now, so I'm finishing as well. So let's go and raid CM Griffin G, and I'll see you all next week for some more Haxe Programming and our platform game. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you then.